Saudi Arabia is scrubbing hate speech from its school books. In Saudi Arabia, students in Saudi Arabia are witnessing a major shift in the kingdom's official nationwide curriculum, with new reforms stripping out hatred towards Christian, Jews, and gays, as well as assertions to defend Islam through violence. According to a report released by Jerusalem-based think tank, the Institute for Monitoring Peace and Cultural Tolerance in School Education, a nonprofit that analyzes global curricula for extremist and intolerant views, the kingdom's most recent textbooks have removed for the first time sections calling for apostates to be executed. The books used in the public K-12 curriculum still characterizes Jews and Christians as, quote, enemies of Islam, and says that infidels, quote, do not have any good deeds and will spend an eternity in hell, according to the report. So Time magazine published this piece, and the rest of their headline that they put on this reads, well, the full headline is Saudi Arabia is scrubbing hate speech from school books and why that's a win for the Trump administration. So that's another angle of this article. However, when I decided to write this news, I'm just focusing on what was removed from the textbooks. But yeah, there's a lot going on here.
What's the argument for why this is a win for Trump? Is it because like they're getting closer with Israel and trying to bring more working?
Well, yeah. They're saying that this is proof that Saudi Arabia is, kind of turning a corner on extremism, and that they're becoming more tolerant, and also they're counting Iran. The Trump administration is using the Iranian angle too by saying, we've privately engaged with them on human rights, and we want, MBS is trying to modernize, and we want to support him, and we want to counter Iran and their terrible record on human rights. So Saudi Arabia, our friend or frenemy, if we can get them to be more tolerant, then that sort of pokes Iran in the chest, so to speak. That's part of what the discourse is. And, they want to give MBS the space to continue to make the reforms. But at no point, and I think, those are the areas where you could say, yeah, okay, good. You want to make reforms. So how about the activists in jail? For things that you've now made legal, they're not talking about that. It seems like it's very centrally focused on specific talking points. Everyone's on message.
So here's the argument for why this is a win for the Trump administration. Trump administration officials say the changes are proof of that Saudi Arabia is turning a corner on extremism, thanks in part to their quiet lobbying to put textbook reform near the top of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's Vision 2030 plan to modernize the kingdom. A former senior State Department official says President Donald Trump helped facilitate MBS's reform drive by paying attention to, paying attention to the kingdom's fears of Iran's regional ambitions. Quote, by countering Iran and engaging privately with them on human rights issues, we have expanded the space for MBS to modernize the kingdom and to continue the reforms that he has wanted to make the former official states. The State Department official tells Times that the Trump administration is encouraged by the report that finds positive changes in influential textbooks used throughout Saudi Arabia, adding that the administration supports textbooks free of intolerance and violence and is also backing the development of a Saudi teacher training program. And they spoke on the condition of anonymity.
No, wait, my turn. My turn. Rivka, you're muted, but okay. Okay.
I just want to say one more thing, though, just to talk about these reforms. So, yes, they've changed some things, but like in the article too, they mentioned this, like David Weinberg from the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, says some of the really intolerant parts are gone, right? Like, so no more death penalty for adultery, acts of homosexuality, or perceived acts of magic. But according to him, there's still problematic passages, including references to Jews who commit wrongdoing turned into real monkeys, encouraging enmity and demonization toward infidels, polytheists, and which is a blanket term used for Jews, Christians, Shiites, Muslims, and other non-believers. And so Weinberg is saying, okay, they're not there yet. So, that's his spacing. Yeah, they've taken some very egregious things out, but they've also left some egregious things. The very egregious may be gone, but the egregious themselves are still there. So sorry.
That's okay. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, this is a bit tricky. Okay, first of all, I was willing to say that maybe Trump deserves some kudos for this, but then Susanna mentioned that they see this as a part of the Vision 2030 plan, and this is basically if that is what they mean by them deserving some credit for this, then they deserve no credit, because that whole thing is just it's a show. It's like it's a PR front for a country, for a government that just needs to collapse yesterday. And the more reform, again, we in the Middle East, we're very used to this, especially like in a country like Iran, where reform is used as an excuse for continuing to deny people, their rights and prosperity and their safety. Okay. So it's basically a way to keep having this hope for people that, things are bad, but things could get a little bit better if I just wait, and then it never comes, right? So, we shouldn't let them use this as a trick. As I was willing to maybe think that this might be something that we could give Trump credit for if the narrative was that if what actually had happened, not just the narrative, what actually had happened is that they were forced into a position like this. Like this was like they made a deal, like part of the things that we want you, like we're moving forward, we're normalizing ties in the Middle East. You need to get closer to Israel. And part of the requirements moving forward is for you to do this, this, and this, and this. And if this was part of something that a country like the United States has pressured Saudi Arabia into, rather than something that Saudi Arabia was using as a way to do PR, then I would be like, this kind of like pushing somebody in the corner and then getting them to submit to superior values rather than them trying to signal to con people around them. I would, that would be something that would be like, okay, great. This is good. This is something that I could congratulate the Trump administration for a little bit, but it doesn't seem like it's like that. But how do you, as individuals, you might be confused about how to feel about this, because this is good news for some, it's still good news, but it shouldn't make you give credit to people who don't deserve credit, right? The example, because for example, when women are able to drive in Saudi Arabia, we say you shouldn't congratulate Saudi Arabia for that, especially because they're doing a lot of horrible things in the back, behind the scenes, and they're using this as a cover. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to be happy for the women who are able to drive, right? These are not mutually exclusive positions. You could be like, guys, do not congratulate MBS. Do not be do not lose focus on what's actually happening behind the scenes and what this is being used for. But it's okay for women who weren't able to drive and now are able to drive. You could at the same time feel happy for them. So in this situation, it's a good thing that there's a little bit of a less brainwashing, a little bit of less hate that these kids are exposed to. That's a good thing, okay? But just don't give credit to Saudi Arabia for it. And also understand what the main goal behind these things are. The example I use is like, imagine if you're being tortured, like you're being tortured by somebody and he never gives you water. And today he's going to continue the torture, but you just ask for water and he just gives you one sip of water, right? do you be like, oh my God, my torture is awesome, like when it's congratulating? No. But am I happy that you got some water? Yes. But that doesn't mean this is an evil person and is doing evil thing to them. This is an evil government that is doing evil shit to these people. You don't congratulate them for being dragged, kicking and screaming to where other countries have already reached hundreds of years ago. Susanna, I think that, okay, Susanna, Rivka, you go, Susanna go, and then after that, Rivka.
Rivka first. You're muted.
Okay, so I just wanted to also just bring up a little things that this article also mentions an independent researcher who's done his own, he claims to have done his own study to see if some of these things have actually been removed. His name is Ali Al-Ahmed, and he's from the Gulf Studies Institute in DC. And he says that he's done his independent research to see, have these things truly been removed? And he says that yes, they have. Jews, the reference to Armageddon, Jews being annihilated, a chapter about jihad. And then he himself says that the Trump administration made it easier because they have a strong relationship. That's his quote. That's where he's giving the credit. But he and others also say that just because they might be removing references, it's not necessarily enough, because you can not talk about jihad, but if you don't say anything, then it leaves it open for others to interpret it a certain way. So his saying is, you need to talk about it in, quote, the right way. This is his opinion. So what the right way means, what does that mean? That seems ambiguous. And who determines what the right way is? So that in and of itself is kind of strange. And he said that also, there's still a lot of hateful material about other faiths. So you have to be proactive before somebody else. So you're not talking about it at school, but they might hear about it at the mosque, and how they view other faiths, And then again, they point out the Dr. Hassan Farhan Malki is still jailed and facing a possible death sentence for confessing to the crime of calling for freedom of belief in Saudi Arabia. So all of this is still happening while they're supposedly becoming more tolerant, but yet someone may be put to death for calling for decriminalizing freedom of belief. So this is exactly analogous in a lot of ways to the discussion about Lujan, because they are saying, here's what we deem citizens can have. Citizens have no right to demand anything for themselves.
I think this is also important to highlight. So the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia makes these materials free for basically all other states. So these textbooks are promulgated and distributed throughout the entire Arab world. So these changes are actually much farther reaching than just the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia itself. They are distributed widely throughout the entire Sunni Muslim world and potentially reaching millions of students every year. So this dissemination, these changes to these textbooks are important, and they are further reaching than Saudi Arabia itself. However, I would like to hear Armin's analysis on how Saudi's regional fears regarding Iran may have motivated some of this.
Yeah, no, well, they're desperate. They are, especially because they know that United States is going to have, it seems like it, right? Things can change, but it seems like United States under, United States under Biden is going to try to become less focused on the Middle East and have a hands-off approach. Things might change, but this is what they're signaling, and to have more of a focus on China, right? So, and Saudi Arabia is terrified because Saudi Arabia knows, and this is why they're desperate to accept, getting even closer to Israel, even faster than they signaled before. and to connect, to have more ties with as many countries as possible. Because if they're not going to be able to rely on the support of the United States, they need all the allies that they could get. And I think whatever they need to signal to the world that they are not the barbarians that everybody thinks they are, they'll try to. But the thing is that they can't. The House of Saud, unlike the House of Wahhab, they don't really care much about religion, right? If they could signal all the way that, you know what, fuck Islam, if they would say it, if it means that they would save them from the falling oil prices and Iran creeping all over the Middle East, and Iran doing empire building beyond its borders, and being able to cause so much damage to Saudi Arabia's economy with very little budget. Saudi Arabia is terrified, and the only reason why they don't go out full on, say like, just we do whatever you want, right? Like, what do you want? You want naked women dancing in the streets? Here, just accept us, please. The only reason why they can't do that is because they also have their own internal Wahhabi issue to deal with. So this is the dance that they have to dance. So like, how much do we appeal to the foreigners without having a Wahhabi uprising, right in Saudi Arabia? And how much do we appeal to the Wahhabis while at the same time signaling to the world, like, please, please, please save us from this Iranians. We're scared. They're going to eat us alive. If you leave us alone here, they're going to eat us alive. Help us. Yes. Right. So it's a tough dance, but I feel a zero.
The Iranians are banging on our back door.
But I feel zero sympathy. I hope they fail and the whole thing falls apart. And also subscribe to our newsletter, because if we get removed from all these platforms, at least we could reach out to you. And guys, by the way, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy. Where's your copy, Susanna? Get it. We're doing promotion. You get a free. It's not even promotion. It's free. Okay, so if you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Come on, like, I'm handing it out for free. Okay, it's a bestseller on Amazon, and you get it for free. So subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a free copy of Why There's No God sent to you. Link in the description.